Welcome to another edition of Fan Forum on a Thursday night with Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. As you can see, you got myself at the wheel today with the main men as well. We got Daniel and Rian. How you doing, boys?
Good, thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah, how we
fantastic.
doing post World Cup? Are we still on a high? Or are we on that inevitable low? How are we feeling? It was a great game. We just spoke about it before it came on. We hadn't spoken, but how you guys feeling after the World Cup final?
What final? We just lost in the semi-final to
I was about
Australia.
to say we've just come off
Oh
two
no,
World Cups.
yeah, we can actually talk about that. I don't know about you about that. I
Cricket
know we just
fan
for the
for
rugby. We'll talk about that. We can touch on the cricket later, but let's not let the Protea fire dampen our spirits.
Yeah, no. After the Rugby
Yeah,
World Cup, it's been great just basking in the glow of four times champs, first ones to do it. I'm going to be honest with you. It's been tough to get into the URC. It just feels like
yeah,
this is
gonna
beneath
say
us
the
now.
same
We've
thing.
already won rugby. So,
Yeah,
but slowly but surely, the come down will finish, and we'll be back into the club game.
yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, getting back into the URC after the World Cup's been a very very difficult one because also the games just haven't been that great as well. There's been still a lot of stop starting and low scoring, and but yeah, we'll get into it. We'll obviously get into it, but we'll talk about it. We also got Daniel, the Rugby World Cup as well. I know, as you guys know, as I said, we were going to go out against France. 60 minutes into England game, I thought we were going to be out. I honestly thought the All Blacks had the momentum there in the second half, and I was just waiting for Jordan try to send us out. But yeah, what an incredible run and an eventual finale, Dan.
Yeah, I've never been more. To be honest, still the all, despite them being the same margin, just three completely different games, right? Like I think
Yeah.
the the French one left me in disbelief. I was shocked after that. Just not because I didn't think we could win. It was just that type of game where you were on the edge of your seat the entire match.
Mm.
Then I think I went into that depressive mode for the England game for 78 minutes. And Chris, as we live in the UK, knowing what that would have meant for our social interactions around here was just, voice in the back of my head. And then the New Zealand one was just get the job done. And it was
I,
also a bit
you,
of a blur.
you guys would still wouldn't have seen me if we lost to Mr. Owen Farrell. I would have been way off the
Oh,
spectrum still. I would still be in recovery mode.
This
So
is
thank God for that
and four would
from
be a
my
bit
perspective. But yeah, we'll actually we'll get into the final a bit later because obviously there's still murmurings coming out of the final since what decisions were made and how they were made, and Barnsley straight out of retirement into TV shows and talk shows and giving us his feelings. So we'll touch on that a bit later. But yeah, and obviously RASSIE because he's back, he's still there and in a bigger capacity. So yeah, we'll touch on all that. But yeah, just to recap for us as box supporters, of course, I'm still in shock because everything that France has bitched about, England have bitched about, New Zealand have bitched about, is I ultimately really believe one of those games will be on the other side of that, and I don't know how on earth we've escaped. Or, we had these lack of the draws, couple World Cups, and now we've had the lack of the refs but calls. Basically, I know I hate the word lack, but it's so been so opposite. The journeys the last two World Cups have taken. So, but yeah, let's hit on to the URC and. Ron, we're gonna have to throw it out to you. Your boys, your man have finally got it over the line there against Scarlet. So I was watching that game. It was actually quite a fun game to watch. They were behind. Yeah, what do you
Yeah.
make of it? It was well played to come out there, get that win, well deserved, eh?
As always, South African teams and their scrum, that's what won it for us.
Yeah.
I was actually streaming that game, live streaming it, and it just looked like Lions discipline was the issue. We couldn't keep our discipline. We were giving away penalties constantly. We always looked to me like the better side. We just couldn't get our hands on the ball, and we were on the wrong side of the ref the whole night long. But luckily,
Mm.
right at the end, Sanene Nohamba, he's been so good for us in some of these pressure games, just to come up with the
Yeah.
plays that are needed. He
what
seems
a
like a nice
signing in the
little head.
last year, by the way.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
geez.
Nohamba and Marius Lowe as well, in the
Yeah,
centers.
yeah.
The two of them have just brought, when they're on the park together, you feel like, okay, there's always a chance. And then Quan Horn at fullback. I've been keeping an eye on him recently. That man
he looks
looks
good.
incredible. They were putting up bombs on him all night, and he caught everything. He was never caught alone. He was never turned over. He did some counter-attacking.
Yeah.
When he kicked well. So yeah, it was close. We were fortunate with a little Steph Evans charge down right at the end. But you make your own luck by charging that thing down, working hard, and having a play and support. So it was very nice to have at least one, or well, two of the South African teams winning, because I don't know about the other teams. The Italians apparently are very good at rugby now, Chris.
Oh, I haven't put that on my list either, so we'll leave that maybe for later. We'll see. But yeah, no, yeah, it was like you say, Dan. I mean, look, the Lions. We know we have a little back and forth and banter, but the Lions are a great team to watch, and they have got a spirit there. You know, if that was the Sharks, I don't know. I don't think you would have backed the Sharks to come back and have won that game, but the Lions gave it everything, and yeah, no, Humber at 10. Yeah, I know. I've also joked that slightly. He's a little guy, but he's got a massive heart, and I actually do enjoy him. I enjoy that Lions team, and I was rooting for them to win. So yeah, it was good to see from them, right here, Daniel.
Yeah, it feels like there's a bit of fire in them now, which is good, because I think that's what Lions used to provide. They always had heart, and they were exciting to watch, and kind of couldn't really write them off on any day. Obviously gone through a bit of a slump, and I think there's like kind of stardom that's scattered around that team, right? And I feel like there are glimpses of it that you're seeing, and it's just about putting it together, because I think if they can keep fit with the right players on the park, they can be a force to be reckoned with. I mean, Henko van Beek gets a lot of...
I wanted to bring him up. You brought him up. I love him. Yeah.
What a guy. Just when he touches the ball, it's like one of those, you just can't wait for him to see it. But yeah, I'm promising, I mean, to get any South African team getting a win away, and as we've seen this last weekend, doesn't matter who the opposition is a good result. So fair play to them for being a part of that group.
Yeah, and actually, now while we stay on the Lions, I bring it back to you. I've always said, like, I love the way the Lions play. They play a brand of rugby that will win their matches, but there's still maybe 2 or 3 really quality players short for me of maybe going all the way. You agree with that, Rian? And can the Lions, is it still just going to be bringing through the youngsters and trying to keep them, or being closer maybe to the union? Obviously I am. Do you think? Acquisitions aren't the strategy, right?
Yeah, no, I think they really are a team we keep the cost of salaries as low as we can and try and build a team, just try and keep a group of players together. Our main thing has always been in recent years is not the front row. The front row has always been good, except at hooker. Since Marks has left, we've really struggled at hooker. I'm sure you've seen the stats as well. Our best hooker is like one of the worst line-out throwers in the competition, PJ Botha. He can carry well. He's a good defender, but if you try and get him to throw anywhere except the front jumper, he's almost at a 30% throwing rate. So our line-outs are a big issue. Yeah, you're not going to launch a lot of attacks with that. And then I've always felt
territory with that type. You're not going to. It just means you can't go for territory.
Yeah, if you kick it out, you have a 50% chance of not getting your ball back, which was what was happening on Saturday night. We lost so many lineouts again because we couldn't just hit our jumpers. And then our defense it's changing. It seems like on the weekend we were hitting hard and we were double tackling, but last year we were the team that gave up the most meters post contact. Like if we were in defense and a team hit our defenders, we were giving up meters more than any other team in the competition. And you're just not going to, if that's the momentum thing in rugby. If you don't stop someone on the gain line, you're going to struggle every day. So those for me are the 2 big things. We need to sort out our line out throws, and we need to stop teams on the gain line. And that's the gain line stopping was what we were doing against the Scarlets, but we just couldn't capitalize on our lineouts. So for me, those are the 2 main things. The players are there. You've seen them. Ruan Venter, he looks great. Willem Albert.
I love Ruan Venter. Also, as a friend, we saw he's the standout. Him and for me and Henko,
Kabakanye, the massive prop, he goes for
He's
ages. He plays 70
some
minutes
athlete,
sometimes.
that guy.
Yeah.
Do you think he'll become a Bok?
10 kilos less of him would, I think.
Yeah, I think he does need to work. He does need. I mean, he can also eat his cakes with ox, but he does. I think he does need to get a little bit more athletic there. But he's a great character. Great, I like a guy you want to have on the field, right? And just a quick one, Riaan. I'm a big Morne van den Berg fan. So what happens is Nohamba going to be the answer at 10? Does that how do you see it? Do you think he'll go back to 9? What do you feel will happen there?
The Lions have been playing a 6-2 split, so I think they've been using Nohamba's versatility so that they can only have 2 guys on the bench. So Jordan Hendricks has been riding the pine. I think he plays maybe as a fullback 10 as well. So
I was convinced he went to the Sharks, or did I misread something?
No, I thought so as well, but that never happened.
I swear I saw that somewhere that he went to the Sharks, and then we're talking. Yeah, okay, so it didn't happen, right?
It was talking.
Yeah, there was rumors, but he's still there. So I hope that's not a sign that he's maybe not staying for past this season. But I think maybe on the away tour they decided, okay, let's keep him from starting too much. The Lions didn't start the season well, so they were probably like, no, we need a change. Keep him on the bench. We'll bring him on late in the game, and they're running a 6-2 bench. So Nohamba being versatile, he can go to 9, and Jordan can come on, or Nohamba can go off and Van den Berg can stay on. And I think they want Van den Berg there just to keep the game fast. He's a bit quicker to the rack.
He's got a wicked pass. I love his pass.
He
can also be erratic. I mean, I've seen him do, but I really enjoy him at 9. But so good.
Yeah. So I think it's mostly to accommodate the 6-2 bench that they have those 2 guys on the field. Yeah, so that we can bring, because we have our bench this weekend looked very good. We had a good front row coming on. We had Venter coming on. We had Alberts coming on. JC Pretorius, the X7s guy, he's being used now as well. So I think that's what they've been doing. They've been using the pack more. We just need to learn to tackle and stop guys on the gain line.
Yeah. Also, to say welcome to everyone on the chat. Unfortunately, guys, my equipment today is not allowing me to see the comments or anything at the moment. But yeah, guys, if you're there, welcome. Obviously, you're part of the show as well. Give us your comments. Give us your thoughts on your teams, how you feel they're going, or any topics you feel you want us to discuss, and I'm sure we'll get on it. So obviously, welcome to everybody. Let's move on swiftly on to the Sharks. Scotty, what's going on there, son?
Not a lot, clearly.
No, not at all, right?
Yeah, people are saying that all will be well when the internationals return, and on paper, that is, you'd think that's the case, but I don't know if I'm so sure. Even last season they weren't spectacular, and they had the biggest names in rugby, Siya Kolisi and Eben Etzebeth. You're looking at 2 of the best stars in a Rugby World Cup. Like, the massive players, their front row. I mean, now they have Koch as well as Ox and Bongi. Like, I mean, obviously these people are going to make a difference, but it just doesn't seem to have been clicking.
And Richardson back at 2, and for me, Richardson's a bloody awesome flanker. I mean, obviously doing the job there, but I find that strange as well.
I wonder if that's a move. Like, I mean, now that he's represented Scotland, he's kind of put himself out of SA contention for the next 4 years. Not that I think he's too close, but there's definitely much more of a shortage in the hooker facilities within South Africa than there are at loose forwards, and historically that is also the case, right? We've produced always the highest kind of creme de la creme of loose trios. So I'm not sure if maybe that's a tactical move by him or just the coaching staff. I think he played actually flank in the first couple of weeks. So moving between, he didn't have
I thought,
he was one of the people who actually played quite decently. Strong ball carrier, kind of.
Yeah, he's brilliant. I think he's great. Yeah.
But just a lot not happening for the Sharks, and you got to salute. What's it, Zebra? First win in 18 months.
Yeah.
I mean, to be in Palma on Friday night.
I hope it will be great. The Italian side will be great to have them strong. And Benetton's got a very nice team now, but it'll be great to have both those sides playing well, full houses when they have home games. But real for me, Sharks, for me, the Sharks has been the back line. I don't think they have a good back line. There's no fluency there. I don't rate the centers that much. Gets to Cox, great, but still feels like he's a sevens player. Varsity hasn't been able to develop. You know, you got Bosch who never kicked on. I mean, okay, they got big players to come. I mean, do you think, okay, this is, you know, bad start. They come back home. I've got them coming home and sorting Connacht out on the weekend. But what do you think? It's just a matter of just grinding on, Plumtree getting back into it. What's your thoughts on Sharks at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, this team, how are they ever going to become good if they're constantly changing? Over the last, 3 or 4 years, they've bought more than anyone, more players in. They don't have a squad playing together for long periods of time because Eben Etzebeth and Bonambi will play 2 games and then they're off again because they have to go play international rugby, and then they come back for 3 games and then they're off again. The guys behind them play 2 games. If there's an injury, then you're down 2 locks. You're looking for a third choice lock. Then they change coaches as well, which is another big upheaval. So it's just a constant change. I mean, it's all good and well. You have all the money in the world, but they're just not standing still for like 2 years, you know, and let systems just bed in. Make sure you have the same coaches, the same players.
Frenetic, it feels a bit frenetic.
Yeah, it's been constant change and stuff. The guys who have been there constantly are the guys that always seem to shine. Werner Koch, what are the other guys there? Richardson, not van a Berg. Fatsi, he's one of their better players.
Notches, all right. And what about Cameron Wright? I think he's had a good tour, right? But you've got a lot of scrummies around, but he seems to be a light in the.
Is he better than Nohamba, who they let go?
And they've also brought in Francois Hogarth.
Did they? How did I miss that? Really?
Francois Hogarth is a Sharks player, and he was there because of you know, their 2 scrummies that went to the World Cup, obviously, but
they're coming back though, right? I mean, if Grant Williams comes back, Hendricks, I mean, where these guys are, I mean, these guys are going to surely fall down the pecking order. But what it points is the thing is I think Cameron Wright's been there and they're better players on tour. That's the point I was trying to make.
Yeah. I haven't really checked him a lot. I'm going to be honest. I haven't watched a lot of the Sharks because they've been so dire. But it just feels like, okay, we are looking at a team here that's got ultra star players, but the Sharks are finding out what the French sides have found out. If you buy Etzebeth or one of those guys, they'll play 4 games a season for you because they're constantly away. They're constantly playing for the Springboks, or they're resting or something like that.
They're different players.
Yeah, they are incredible. If they were playing for the Sharks 10 games a season, the Sharks would be top of the table. But they're not, and that's what they're finding out now. The guys below them, and it's not, and even the guys that do well behind them, like Grant Williams and those guys, they become Springboks, and then they down to Cameron Wright and those guys, you know. So I think it's just the constant churn of guys in out that's causing a lot of disruption.
Sorry, because I think also if you look at the successful South African franchise teams over the last couple of years, particularly since we've been in the URC, right? 2 Stormers, 1 finals, 1 with a win, 1 runner-up, and then that Bulls team who's also been competitive. They're not littered with Springboks, and obviously that's because a lot of the Springboks, you know, once they're good enough, they kind of go earn their keep in Europe, right? But I think in a lot of ways, the teams that haven't had the maybe bar lines, but the teams that haven't had too much coming in and out have benefited. Like, I don't think we saw a massive uplift of the Sharks when they had these names that came in, because it really was like they had a massive like injection of Springbok players, and we didn't see like this upturn. Whereas the Bulls and the Stormers, you know, they had maybe 3 constants in, like, you know, you think Libok and Kitsoff and Frans Malherbe, like for Province, and then, you know, for the Bulls, you had like their back 3, their 2 wingers, maybe Marcel Coetzee and Ulrich Loh was kind of in and out of there. But for the most part, these teams are playing with each other, and you feel like they have much more of a brand.
And identity. No, they are.
Exactly. Identity. Whereas with such so many big players, and as much as I'm actually not sure who the Sharks captain is, like the club captain.
That tells you everything you need to know.
But
You know,
I
who
mean,
is the face of the Sharks?
it can't be easy being the club captain, and then you also have, you know, Etzebeth, you have Sia Khaleesi, and you have Bongi. Like they, I'm sure they're not going to try and take up your space, but that at the end of the day, you aren't competing with them on a rugby or leadership level. Like it's so, you know, these types of things are difficult to manage. Whereas the Bulls have a Marcel Coetzee, he's a Springbok, ex-Springbok player, and has played. He can control a room much potentially better. So maybe it's also just the leadership and kind of, you know, internal player who's playing game week out, who is that person that they look to.
Yeah. Well, that'll bring us onto the Bulls and Stormers, because we're proud to say, right? Obviously, the Stormers and Bulls have had very different road trips this time round. And when we were previewing with Stevie before the tournament, I'd mentioned that, you know, surely this is the year that the Bulls have to step up under Jack White. I mean, surely he's not going to get another season, but again, I think the consistency and the team, it seemed they've been playing some great rugby, getting the win. So is this they are top of the log? Another win on the weekend. Obviously wasn't overly pretty, but they're getting the job done. So yeah, is this the year that the Bulls are going to be the top South African side? Yeah.
Well, when they get that back three back of theirs, they really do have the ability. You know, their pack is looking great. They've struggled with props for so many years now. With Wilco Low back, that's going to make a huge difference for them. It's already been making huge difference, and that's another one of those great signings. You know, it's a guy who's not constantly with the Springboks, but he's just on the cusp. You know, he's so
like
good that he can,
equivalent.
He can win you a URC, but he's not going to be playing 3 games a season because he's got Springbok duties. Nizam Kaur, the back row, Carl Brink. I mean, I love that man. He's still going strong since he's been back in South Africa.
We've got Rudy
Low, and now.
We've got Rudy also asking about Cameron Hanekom. What are your thoughts on him?
He looks very South African, proper Afrikaner. No need for anyone to look into his ancestry or anything like that. Just another great find. I'm sure everyone will hopefully keep a level head and not be like with Ruas, he must be a Bok, he must be a Bok, he must be a Bok, and then second season comes and he doesn't really shine as much, you know. So no, he's been great. He's been making so many meters, monster carries all over the place. So perfect for what the Bulls like. They like a back row that's carrying well, offloading, and then just getting in behind the other team, and then the back three can fire.
Yeah, so the thing is, you know, we can move on to the Stormers or go quite swiftly past the Stormers. I mean, they're obviously going to get some players back, and it's starting to become quite obvious. I mean, this tournament, like a lot of tournaments, is very, for me, home team orientated. Like touring is difficult. Clearly, we go there and we struggle to tour. Obviously, the Bulls have done a bit better, but Sharks and Stormers have been, and Lions, we haven't had a good tour. But subsequently, when these guys come back, when they come to us, sometimes there's, you know, lighter squads. So yeah, I mean, for the Bulls to get these wins, these nice wins under the belt, and be top and coming back to Loftus soon, it's going to stand them in good stead, right? And that's obviously Stormers, after 2 nice, easy, comfortable home wins, have obviously gone off the boil. But I don't worry about them too much as well. When Lebok and Willem Philipsel come back and we're back in Cape Town, they should be all right. But I mean, these guys will.
What did Nas always say? You don't win the URC in February,
in October, or win the Currie Cup in May, or. But, well, it's going to be interesting, because, you know, the Scottish sides are still doing quite well, and obviously the Irish sides. It looks like a bit of a mutt. Even the Welsh. I mean, the Welsh sides haven't been too bad. I mean, they're playing each other. Benetton and Zebra also looking a little bit more competitive this year. Actually, it's quite. As we get into it, I'm sure it's going to be a nice end, you know, tournaments in the overall. So, but yeah, Stormers. We'll preview the weekend's games. But like I don't know if you guys have comments on it. It's just. You know, I just felt, I don't know, I thought some of the combinations were a bit strange. They didn't seem to have the cohesion. Maybe it's the teams. I don't know what it is. So our teams just seem to struggle here, Daniel.
I think they're also missing a bit of that glue in the players that seem to step up constantly. Obviously, there are the boxing, you know, Money, Damien. I think they missed Savicha Diamani massively. Just
Yeah,
someone connecting the backline and the forwards, being that dynamic. The backline didn't. They felt static. It felt like it was just Jean-Luc Duplessis trying to make something happen and kind of left to his own devices. Warren Galant trying probably a bit too much.
Galant had a shocker. Hey, shame. He was trying to get it going, but he
just like
one of those.
You can see those creative players, and even some of the criticism that went towards Mani Lebok in some of the games is not knowing when to kind of switch it off a little bit more and just like play that conservative role, right? Like the role that sometimes you just need from someone. And Galant actually kicked from on defensive kicking. I think he was actually really good. It was more that he was just seeing half spaces more times than he needed to, and maybe a little bit too much. So just not really sticking, and didn't feel. I think it's going to be a massive boost though. Deon Fourie coming back, they were missing some key characters.
But it is. It's also we had to stretch. Yeah. Sorry, Dan.
On to you.
No, obviously we also having, at Bomberkeys at 10 for a while. So then Duplessis come in, and then sent with Loader at the wing, and then Loader. He was a great. He was a great Prem player, but it's so random that there's like now in the Stormers.
Like 13 this weekend as well.
Yeah. So, but we'll go. We'll preview the next this weekend's game. But let's, Daniel, if you don't mind, we'll put up the bet inside. We obviously we didn't have a show last week, and we got a different slide up tonight because I haven't got the equipment this week. So I apologize. We'll just do a quick what's tonight's bets up. If you were following, we had a massively awesome run and then a 2-week blip, but then we now back on a 2-week winning streak. The double last week, which I think it was Sale to win, which they did against Gloucester on Friday night, and Lions plus 11.5 against Benetton cruised in 2 weekends ago when we had our last bet. So we got a decent amount of units. But this weekend I've just cooked up a straight out 3 teams to win. Home teams, solid home favorites. As I said, I've called the Sharks to win. Stevie said, "What the hell?" Stevie said, "What the hell are you on about? Sharks are toilets." And I said, "Don't you worry, they're coming home and they're gonna win." Then kind of got bad. I mean, a good side, but they're also terrible away. But Sharks not gonna give. They're coming back home and they'll do it. Glasgow at home.
Springboks are slotting in yet?
I think they're only in December.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but late. Yeah. But still, like I said, it's very home orientated. I mean, kind of probably will give Sharks a great run. Don't get us wrong, but Sharks have to come home. They're right. For me, it's the spot. For me, Sharks are going to come home and win the game. They have to win it, so they'll win it. Says me. Glasgow to win against Benetton and Exeter as well at home to Gloucester again on Sunday. So if all of those 3 win, 1.95 odds, 3 units on that. Let's go for it. One of those games probably might come down to the wire, but I'm confident this will come home. So that'll be this weekend's bet, guys. Obviously, this is from BoyleSports, our sponsor, our channel sponsor, and providing all our odds for this betting segment that I do for you guys. So yeah, go down to Boyles, have a look. Also have a look in the comments. Sign up if you do fancy a little bit of a wager. And if you have been following my tips since April, we'll be up to almost 30 units profit. So obviously, if you don't have to follow it, use it as information towards whatever you want to do with your money. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your money, but hopefully it makes you money, right? So yeah, that's the betting segment. Thanks, Dan. Let's move on to some hot topics that have come about in the last week or two. RASSIE. 4 years head coach was announced, right? I think a couple days after the World Rugby Awards. Now, the cynic in me said RASSIE sat there and saw the Boks get completely dissed and disrespected, and he went, "Yeah, sure, okay, we'll go for the 3-peat." And I mean, obviously, I don't know. Obviously, what discussions we had wasn't expected.
I think you're projecting.
I think RASSIE was like, "Okay, yeah, you still don't think we deserve to win? Well, let's go get 3 in a row." And that's going to be his mission. He's going to be here for 4 years. What do you think, Rian? What do you think of that announcement? I'm probably not expected. I'm ecstatic about it. What's your thoughts on it?
I think the call was always that he was going to be on for 2 years after the World Cup.
Yeah, that's what I heard as well. Yeah.
But now here it is like indefinite or for the time being. I think maybe I don't know what goal, because their goal was always 2023. So we don't know what the next goal is that they've set. Is it yet another, no, think about the World Cup, or maybe wouldn't it be nice to be like, okay, now we want to win everything between World Cups? That would be a nice
No, we
thing.
actually care about rugby championships.
Yeah. Wouldn't it
Bring
be
the
nice
Freedom
to
Cup
actually?
home.
Like your mate Ben Smith, Rian, right? It all mattered that the All Blacks won all the championships between the World Cup, but it's not. That's okay that they didn't win the World Cup because they pulled that off, right?
Yeah, they've got all that other silverware. We've got the one gold one.
He's got the guitar. They don't have the guitar cup in the bag,
Yeah.
so that's the one they
So,
really need.
I think maybe it's more of a. I would say it's a transfer kind of thing. He wants to find the guy after him because now Jock's gone. Will it be Stick? Will it be Davids? Will it be anyone else? You know, we who is the next Bok coach? It was very obvious.
Well, that's what I was worried. That was my biggest worry. Like them making this announcement made me feel that I think he's had the guys Davids and the guys in the background, but for them to all of a sudden come take 2-time world champion team and the pressure, because it's going to be so many eyes on us now. I think I think he made that's proper leadership call and said, right, let him stay with me for the 4 years, but let me still take it, nurture them. And I think it's the most absolute right call for him to be the leader of the next 4 year cycle, right?
Yeah,
and get Eddie Jones in like Matthew Dixon says. He can start to teach Eddie some of the cards.
I think this is often not Japan have told Eddie that they don't even want him just because he's running out.
Just put a book tracksuit on and go have a glass of wine with Victor Matfield, and he's done his job, right?
Yeah,
claim the medals. Huh?
I don't know if it's just me, but my thought is that RASSIE's almost. He's put himself there just to stop people, I think, asking questions. I kind of see him still being.
Yeah, I also thought that's what I think it was.
I still think he's going to appoint someone, maybe not this season, this first season, but I think there'll be another head coach before the World Cup. I think he quite likes sitting in the wing, not having to do always the media. He can kind of listen. He lives rent free in everyone's head. Right.
That's what I think. For me, this was a typical RASSIE troll move. He knew what he was doing. Yeah.
He points himself.
You know. Well, no one knows. No one knows except him what he's doing. That's the point. Like that's.
He's put himself in a position where he can just choose when he is and isn't the Springbok coach. Right.
But I've got another one for you, Jacques Nienaber. 2 years after Leinster might not go as well as we think, and Jacques and him are at the helm 2 years to go again. That's my prediction.
Nienaber is an agent. He's the foreign agent. He's sent to destroy Ireland from the inside.
You wouldn't be shocked, right? The other question I actually like to get your guys' thoughts on this, right? This team, we got guys who've come through the last 3 World Cups: Kriel, Delandi, Pollard. Who do we think still in the current side will be there in 4 years' time? And who's going to be our captain? Are we saying Kolisi surely doesn't have another 4 year cycle in him, right? Who do we think still going to be there, Rian? Who's going to be the captain? Because we had this conversation a few weeks ago. And it's quite hard. I don't think there's a real stand-up. Maybe Etzebeth. I think Etzebeth probably could do a 4 year cycle, right?
He might, but I wouldn't bet on it because he's been more and more injury prone as the years have gone on. I'd like to see how is recovering it because for me it's
you're going back to the arm. You're going to arm. Okay.
Yeah. If he stays fit, if he still gets his form back that he had before his injury, I would say is your next guy.
And Pollard have a chance. 30, he'll be 33. What's Owen Farrell now? 33, right? He could step up to captaincy role. Has he captained before? I honestly can't remember. But he comes across as a guy who could lead.
He's also gone, so I don't know if he'll be able to carry on for that long.
Who, Pollard?
Yeah.
No, he'll be there.
Yeah, I'm convinced he'll be there.
Yes, these Springboks, they don't play club rugby.
He's playing on one of those 4G pitches in England, though. So we'll see.
I hope he has cushions underneath it that protect his knee. But
I just say the Premier League will exist in 4 years' time, so that's also at least.
Hopefully. But yeah, I mean, Sia obviously has now said that initially he had said that he is in his book that he believes that the Springbok captain should be playing in South Africa. And you know, all the names mentioned, I guess, bar Lucano, are, you know, playing overseas. I think Sia will try. I think he'll play maybe another 2 years and take it from there. And I don't think they're going to change the captain now, to be honest. I don't think they'll hand their reins over now, because as long as Sia is playing, I can't see anyone else being there. I think the next best probably Pollard. I do see him making the next World Cup, and potentially it's a bit. It's difficult. We have so many players who are 30 or 31. And
yeah, they're at that they could be there, but they could very much not be there, right?
34, 35.
Yeah.
It's like, it's fine if a couple of people are 34 but 35, but when 10 of your starting 15 are 34, 35, it's like, well, you know, I don't know if we can play this physical game that we're promising. So it's going to be interesting. It's almost like they're going to be looking at each other. It's like, well, who's going to, you know, hang up the boots first? Who's going to give up the reins? Because otherwise some of us are going to get dropped. You know?
No, it's going to be interesting, because obviously the firm favorites, you know, who I've argued sometimes maybe are we kind of carrying them? Are they the better players? Like obviously the guys have said it's not necessarily the better player per se or form, it's the right fits, but some of these guys are getting on. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. And because we've been so stable for 5 years, it's like we said, but barring maybe Moody and Willemse, who's finally broken through as the man, we actually don't really know who the superstar breakout, you know, Lowe's had his 1 or 2 runs, Russ, we don't really have this, who are the next real generation guys that are going to come through for the Boks the next 4 years, right? So we don't have that standout captain, we'll see what, I always say I trust RASSIE, because I was going to say Jacques now. But it's going to be very fascinating to see how this team evolves.
Yeah, I mean, we have Justin asking who we think the uncapped players are going to be.
Yeah, exactly. Who are the standouts newbies coming through? Yeah,
I'm trying to think who the people that felt. Yeah, I mean, but Moody's through, but you know he's capped now. So I'm trying to think. Anyone come to mind?
Ruan Venter,
Ruan Venter, and Henko van Wyk. But Van Wyk's got to be a Bok. He's going to be a Bok for sure. Maybe does that the wing are back division sorted, right? For a while.
Who's replacing our front row? Because those guys are also they're getting old. And
isn't Rieko Ioane still on the younger side?
Yeah, Volker, Thomas du Toit will be there. He can't miss another World Cup. Shame. He's been so close on both of them.
Yeah, Walker Lowe's 29. So if he's now, it's the perfect time for him to have come back to South Africa. Because 29 for prop that's when you start hitting your proper propping age. So I think they'll be watching him with a microscope to see, okay, is this our next big guy? Ox, I think is maybe good.
Ox will be there.
Jan Bruno, they still want him in as well. So there's a few guys that can keep going. Marks is still young enough as well to make another one. I don't know about Mbonambi. I think he might be on the wrong side of 30 as well. So
Mbonambi's been so much rugby. It feels like he is just his body's surely gonna give way. But I know these guys' core strengths are something else. But he just feels like he just he's I don't know how much he can take. Much more you could take, you know.
Could be Dylan Richardson coming through. I mean, obviously Joseph Dweb is there in years of an age that is suitable. It's obviously just if you can find, a kind of real run of form and turn things around a little bit. I mean, he struggled this weekend again for the Stormers at line-out time. So it's one of those. It's kind of a bit like a kicker when you start missing. People are looking and paying a lot more attention to it, which puts a lot more pressure on you. But yeah, I think another huge one for the next World Cup is going to be Ulrich Lowe. I can see him coming through and having at least 15 caps before the next World Cup type of.
But not at 8, right? More at blindside.
I was going to say, are we going to have a Lowe versus battle for the next 4 years, or do you think both of them could easily be the starters in 4 years' time at the World Cup?
I think Jasper.
Who else is coming through on the flank?
Jasper's going to be 8, I think. I would bank on Jasper as 8 and Russ maybe as backup.
Is Jasper that young as well?
Jasper's young.
He doesn't look. But I know he isn't as old as. I know. Yeah, you're right. He'll probably do a Dwayne Vermeulen job.
And what about the likes of Atara and Green? Hey, I mean,
Maybe, you know.
being out for a season, but before the season before that was instrumental in
He
helping
was.
win the Premiership and started incredibly hot. I mean, you must
Yeah,
think that
yeah, but
Superman try that he scored. I
yeah,
mean,
but that Harlequins team are Premiership bullies. Like they play so well, and they brought, obviously Ed Stesen didn't get his chance as the Boks, but Caden Murley I thought probably should have been playing over Johnny May easily, or
Yeah.
Arundel should have even. But you see, like, I mean, that kick was Smith to Green. Like, that's what you were my head. That's what Smith's doing for England, but gets onto the stoop there for Quins, and they just tear it up. Just a pit that just looks so different on the eye. These guys in the Prem compared to England, and it's all there, right? It's all the talent, all the ability. And they just don't transfer it. But I totally agree with you, Scotty, Tyrone Green, that and Murley. I love that. I love that Quins backline. Talking about it.
You're going to struggle to get that 15 jersey off of Damien Willemse, though. I think that man
Oh,
is now
he's.
But Green's playing at the wing, no?
He's in the wing, yeah. But he's played. Played fullback. But he's played fullback. He did play a lot of fullback as well. Yeah.
And you wouldn't drop Curtly or one of those guys for
yeah, that's true, because I mean, you still got Moody, who, like, if Lucanio's fit, he's going to be playing 13. Now Moody is probably going to be on the wing then.
But that's what I said. I agree with Rio and Dan. So I agree. I totally agree. Green's Premiership form is awesome, but I can't see how he breaks into that back three at the moment. It's going to be very, very difficult. Because also, I mean, everything is, has Colby reached 30? He must have reached 30 by now, right?
His birthday on the day of the final.
All right. Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, guys, talking about the final, let's go back to the final because New Zealand are still enjoying it and want to rehash it. So I don't know if you guys seen over the last week, have you, that basically someone in World Rugby, or it's come out that obviously the team has made a mistake by intervening to the try that was disallowed. Apparently it's a 2-phase threshold, and this was obviously way back. Obviously it was a knock-on, but ultimately there's been an admission of guilt. So, well, they said it's wrong.
There has been whatever. We don't know.
Yeah. But that's the whole thing. I think people haven't said exactly who it is in World Rugby. There's some people denying it in World Rugby. Obviously, New Zealand are throwing it out there and moaning about it. Obviously, so maybe if it was the other way around, will we still be bitching it on the show 3 weeks later that we got hard done by? What are your guys' thoughts? Actually, what are your thoughts on, 2 phases, 4 phases? I suppose the rules again, but if it wasn't allowed, I'm not totally against it. I wouldn't probably be crying if it was called back because it wasn't legal, essentially. And what do you think about what's going on here? Like, and maybe it goes on to, I know Stevie said in his videos, the try that was scored, that looked pretty forward at the head, is that the South African green glasses on there missing that? But what do you guys think of this whole ref thing that's come out subsequently? Rian?
I think it's just people that are hurt. They lost, First of all, it was World Rugby secretly admitted. So first of all, that's not official. Second of all, it was stuff.co.nz. That's their SA Rugby made. Maybe even worse.
Yeah, okay.
They are a clickbait website. So that's the second part. And then the third part, World Rugby came out and said, we do not talk about refereeing decisions. The refereeing decisions are left on the field. If there's a mistake, we will say something about it. And then the other thing is, yes, that try was disallowed. Yes, it's 2 phases is the rule. So that's wrong. But they scored like 3 minutes later. I mean, it didn't really, for me, make an impact. If they scored that try, we would have kicked off. They would have been back in their half. They wouldn't have then immediately scored that next try. The whole game changes, So for me, it's a storm in a teacup. It's just because, people are hurt that they lost the World Cup. If that thing had stood, this country would have been burning effigies of Wayne Barnes because he didn't catch the knock-on in the mall, So that pass being, or the pass for the try being forward, go look at the try Curtly Orange scored against Australia at Loftus at the beginning of the year. Lucanio Am's last pass is almost exactly the same thing. So we can't be saying, no, that was forward, but Lucanio Arms pass was not forward. So it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes it just goes with you. I would just say, recognize clickbait when it's clickbait. Stuff Magazine have gotten so much traffic this week, so they've made their money. That's all it was about. Make your advertiser money.
Yeah, but Daniel, like, we've gone about these 50-50s and the head clashes, and was he low? And obviously Khaleesi was put side by side. Was Khaleesi's worse than Kane, who got a red card, and Khaleesi got a red? Like, how does Bonds miss counting back to 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like, and you got 4 people to validate? How does he miss that? Essentially, if that's the rule, how did he miss it? And was that the conversation he had with Sevilla, saying, "Sorry, I missed that"? Was that a separate incident? I'm like, I even totally forgot that we hadn't scored after 33 minutes. I was so engrossed in that final. I honestly couldn't. Only the next day we didn't score in the second half. Couldn't believe it. But I'm saying that incident. How did he? That's not a hard one. That's earning your money. You gotta be accurate there, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. I wonder if, because it's relatively new how engaged the TMO is, particularly now where they are handed off some of the bigger decisions and like the spotlight is kind of put on them while the game's been stopped. I wonder if you see it in football with VAR, in that they let the game play out and then they'll come back to it, in a sense. So I wonder if there's, in a sense, where when they're not sure about a call, they're going to let it play out and then go back to it, or whether it's call exactly what you see, regardless of what's about to happen on the field. If there is that leniency to 50-50, let's play on, and then going back, you can kind of understand. But the fact of the matter is, I guess the law was was over the count and should be accounted for in that sense.
Because it's foul play, they can go back, right? Foul play,
foul play, you can go a bit further. Knock-ons, you can't.
Yeah,
it is wrong. That was wrong, but they did fix something that was wrong. I mean,
well, that's my point. I mean, did the ref just think it's my job to call this out? He's seen it. It's like they didn't score, and he just felt like morally obliged to say, "Look, Bonzi, look at the knock on," But it doesn't feel right for 2 phases. I don't know what that 2 phases is a bit. The amount of involvement. I know we've given the involvement, so what's 4 phases to 2 phases? Just get the right call.
The thing is, where do you stop? How many phases do you go back?
The last time the ball was dead. The last time the ball was dead.
Yeah, but what if there's a 3-minute play going on? And there's one little knock on
there must be a beep. I don't know. We get into the muddy water, the murky waters. Okay, 2 and 2 is binary, so it's fine. But yeah, you're right. We now get into more human elements. The longer, I guess you're right. The longer it goes on, the more human, subjectivity could come into it, right?
I think the law is fine how it is. It's funny because obviously the laws aren't all equal, right? As you say, foul play you can go back for, knock on you can't. Equally are penalized in an open game play, but then some are given more preference to go back to. You don't want to see something that's like gone on like a crazy, I don't know, or something like that was 7 minutes ago. To go back to it just can, I think, seem ridiculous, and people are getting, I think, frustrated with the stop-started nature of it. It might just become a bit like American football, which no one wants. But I think with that said, there's just so much scrutiny, more scrutiny than I feel like there used to be, because of how many more camera angles, how much more access we all have to these games and viewership, that we have the ability to understand and scrutinize, where previously, there weren't that many people speaking about it, and there were only a select few that actually knew the law, that it was 2 phases, right?
Well, I didn't know. I've totally forgot about it. It didn't cross my mind. Did the commentators bring it up at the time? I can't remember. I was so enthralled. I was just hanging on for dear life. I had to rewatch the second half, the whole game. Because I was so uptight, and I missed all of that little details, right? I was just wanted the game to end with us ahead.
There's one common thread is that, and maybe I'm biased, but tend to agree.
You are,
that I am biased, but no matter what happened in that game, we were still going to come out on top because that's just, we know how to get it done. So that happened earlier in the game. The game would have been different. You can't just take that as a, you can't just count the points that were lost, even in a missed kick, something like that, and say, if just like against Ireland, if only we got those kicks over, we would have won. It's not how it works. At the end of the day, people play different rugby as a result of the circumstances that they're in. So if we had conceded that try, then we would have played differently, and the All Blacks would have approached the game differently.
But Daniel, I'm a conspiracy theorist, and this is conspiracy show. We missed those kicks against Ireland to let New Zealand sort Ireland out in the quarters, so we could beat New Zealand in the final. That's what happened, right? So don't worry about it. You take my tinfoil hat off, throw it there, okay? No, but you're right. So absolutely. Then there was another topic, I think it was to do with the World Cup we wanted to discuss before we actually move on. Do you remember what it was? We said it earlier on the show.
Well, it's Rian, you'll be able to kind of speak a lot about this, but Squid Rugby coming out with a
Squid, that's it.
30-minute. I don't know if you guys managed to get it within I think the 12 hours that it was up, but it was it was music to a Springbok fan's ears. It was a beautiful masterpiece of essentially the broader World Cup, but also the game itself. And after it being online for 12 hours, obviously Squid being an analyst and someone on YouTube that publishes very tactically deep content, and for me at least has kind of broadened my rugby horizons from an understandings point of view of how the game works between just big people running at each other to the nuance that he can identify and I think spread around. But using clips of the World Cup now being flagged, as a lot of them have been throughout the World Cup, kind of on any social platform, World Rugby saying you haven't actually paid for the rights to be able to broadcast and benefit financially off of these. And subsequently, he's been in talks with World Rugby after they took his video down. Rian, I mean, let's have it broader. First of all,
has it impacted you as well, Rian? When you're looking for content?
I got a strike as well. Yeah. So there's this thing about YouTube, this fair use, that you are allowed to use another party's IP, not for straight reproduction. You're using it to make points or commentate on it, create commentary about it. So obviously you can't show an 80-minute game. That's obvious. We all know that stuff.
Yeah.
You can't even go and just show a 40-minute game. You have to bring something to the clip that you're using, which is definitely what he's doing. He's not using the original audio. He's dubbing over it. It's being cut up a lot. It's being stopped. It's zoomed in, all that kind of stuff. He is obviously using the footage of World Rugby to create commentary and stuff, which is under fair use still legal. My video that they took down, I use, in the beginning of my videos, sometimes I show little highlight clips where I just say a little couple of jokes over it and then Rappi, literally 5 seconds that I dubbed over, they took down. And it's not an AI bot. It was someone from World Rugby personally going and clicking, this video is illegal. 5 seconds dubbed over with text on top is definitely fair use. So that takedown would also not hold up in the court, but you have to go there to the court, which takes months, years sometimes. The same for Squid.
By the time the video is back up, people have lost interest in watching it.
Yeah, right? It's too late anyways. And then you have a strike on your channel, which means you have to go to lessons to say, I know what fair use is. I will never do this again. If you have 3 of those strikes, they delete your channel. All that kind of stuff happens. So
what is it the monetization of it? Sorry, Currie.
No. Even if you monetize the video or not, they will take it down because it's their footage. It seems what happened was World Rugby, this World Cup, World Rugby sold the rights for the stuff to a bunch of countries, obviously to SuperSport or whatever. But there's this one group in France, apparently, that's this channel or whatever, that they sold rights to, TF1 or something like that. They have told World Rugby, I don't care where it is, on what platform it is, how long, how it's reproduced. If
So
we
they'll just
see
be
someone
interested.
else posting our stuff, you take it down. And I think that's what's happened. This French group that own it, they have gone full on no. We're not allowed to show anything. And I don't know if there's nothing has come out of Squid's video since. It doesn't look like he'll be able to put it back up. Even now that we're months or weeks away from the World Cup. So there's not even any advertising running on anything. You know, you can't show that full thing now and show TV ads because no one's going to watch it. No one's going to buy ad space. So it makes no sense for them to pull it down, but it's still happening. So yeah, some of it feels vindictive. It feels like some creators
are being. That was a greed thing. Whoever got those rights was pure greed, right? What feels like.
Yeah.
But
well,
also,
they paid for it, so it's their right. But
I know, but
fair use.
But
there is a fair use thing. Yeah, that they are not.
I understand the whole use,
but
I think what they lack to understand is how people ingest sports nowadays, and you get people interested by creators, you know, Forever Sports, you on your own channels, putting it out there. People catch it on Instagram, then they find out about it on YouTube, and now all of a sudden they're watching a live game, and then you've got a wider viewer base. I think it's the NBA that all creators can create with the any of the kind of match footage, and they're super liberal with how they do that, and it's insane how much growth they've seen just from a conversion from social media. So I think it's also it feels like a clamping down where it's probably, you know, some old kind of dinosaur that's been in it for a long time, and he's seeing you know, people popping up and using the rights that he's bought or she's bought to the massive you know, grand finale of rugby, and saying, well, that's not yours, that's mine, not realizing the impact that it can actually have, not just on the game and growing the game, but them financially as well.
But but I've done a little bit of this many years ago, some content deals and stuff. So I don't know the full details of Make Game Real, and if you do know, but obviously this company have paid over the moon prices for basic exclusivity. And then, because sometimes these guys do deals, and then they can do sublicense the content. So then you go to this company says, okay, we'll own and manage it all, pay for it, monetize. But that monetization would also include sublicenses to say Forever Sports. Okay, I want is a package system. Say, okay, you can get 2-minute clips, and then there's an actual company that will actually package that content up, and that's the type of content then you can then use. But it just seems like this one company was like, thank you very much, we'll have it all, everyone bugger off. And that's 20 years ago stuff, right?
That's exactly what happened. It seems like a company went full on, no, it's ours, and they brought out stats to show, oh, look how big our social engagement has been. I saw stats today that said like rugby went up 700% engagement on all the platforms. Our most liked thing on Twitter was 1.9 million likes or whatever. Then someone said, oh, that's nice. Look at this. The Premier League, a midweek game, one of our posts got almost 800 million likes. It's not even in the same stratosphere, you know, because people are allowed
in that space.
Because they're allowed to use it and grow it and stuff.
You know what this feels like? This feels like nepotism. This feels like someone's buddy is in this company, someone overcharged, someone got a backhander. See you later. It was nothing to do with about you guys and growing this before. This smells like a dirty deal to me. Something's gone.
But I have seen that World Rugby has said from 2025 they are renegotiating all their content and all that kind of stuff. And they will be going. The URC actually is one of the more modern things. The URC allows you to use stuff like that. You can repost, you can make GIFs, you can do memes. They want you to do that. The URC is very liberal with their stuff. And I think World Rugby wants to go into that. And also, their next deal will be like that.
I think my frustration is that they have the rule that you can't just repost it. Obviously, that makes sense. Like if Steve and Forever Sports had a live stream where it was here and we were commentating, yes, you can understand. Then that's an all game. I'm either gonna watch like on ITV or I'm gonna watch it on Forever Sports. But it's not that. It's completely.
It's not what we want to do. Yeah.
What we're speaking about. For people to engage with after the matter of fact, and they might be now to watch the next game. It's not happening at the same time.
Exactly. This is not how normally I have been in a bit of these deals, and this is not how these content deals are done. There's backup periods. There's ways to do that. Everyone can have a piece of the pie. I've not heard or seen of a deal like this being brokered for a very long time. This was dirty. This was naughty, and it wasn't right. You know.
It's taken a lot away from the World Cup. Like the difference between what you saw this weekend after a couple rounds of URC online and during the World Cup, it's night and day. You see clips everywhere of the URC and of the Premiership from all kinds of people. But you see nothing from the World Cup. It's ridiculous. Hopefully they'll learn their lesson. It'll never happen again.
Interesting one. Obviously will affect us. This is what the game we in our boys, and obviously want to grow this channel as we get to 500,000 subscribers, and Rion, you take over the space. So hopefully it gets better I'm sure they will sort it out. There's been too much noise. They will. I'm sure they will. Anyway, guys, we've got to an hour. It's been great. We haven't got into this weekend's fixtures. We won't spend too much time. But I'm thinking, let's go through the South African guys' team's fixtures, and we'll just have a quick prediction. Really, let's just quickly do that and see how they go. We'll just say we got tomorrow night. We got already Bulls away to Edinburgh. Edinburgh not too bad at home, not a bad side. See the Bulls picking up another win on their way home. What do you guys think? What do you think, Rion? Give you the first up.
I saw the team the Bulls named. It looked pretty good. But Edinburgh, they know mugs. They're pretty good themselves. I think the Cardiff that the Bulls beat, it was a close game, and the Welsh sides are not very good these days. So I think this might be an Edinburgh one.
Good call. Scotty.
I don't want to make it sound like a landslide, but I was actually also going to go Edinburgh. I was surprised that you did as well. I think very close though. I think 2 points either way, but I'm also going to go just give the nod to Edinburgh.
Those two Scottish sides do well against us. It seems like we do. Like I said, we do better against the Welsh sides away. If we do, still get driven close. But Edinburgh, the Scottish sides seem to do well against us at the moment. I'm also Bulls have been good, but I think Edinburgh might sneak this one as well. Sure. And then we got the big boy Lions up against Ulster. Tricky one at Ulster. That's going to be a tricky one. Hey, Rion, how do you think this is going?
Unfortunately, the Irish sides are good. So I don't think the Lions will be in this one. This is going to be a 30
not going to go back to back, no.
No. Unfortunately, that little blip with Scarlets would have been just that, a blip. And I think Ulster's going to bring them back down to earth. They're just too experienced, too well coached. So, that should be an Ulster win easy.
I agree. Dan?
Yeah, I think also same. I think Ulster by maybe 16.
Sure. They're tough one for Lions there to end it off.
And a good win at the weekend as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Sharks at home to Connacht. Like I said, I'd already given my prediction there. I think the Sharks come home, probably going to make it very difficult for themselves, but I still see them winning. What do you think, Rion?
I saw my Pimpy training this week. He can't be ready to play with a broken cheekbone. I don't know.
The point enters the conversation. I
mean, the Sharks last year lost 35-0 to Cardiff at home. So,
jeez. And this was this time of the year as well. Was that this first game back, if I can remember?
And Connacht,
now that you said that, Rion, I've already put this bet out, mate. You can't say this.
I wish I knew what team the Sharks are putting out, if they are getting some of their box back a little earlier, but they've been dire, and Connacht are a good side as well, especially Pentecost and their 9 Blade as well. It's such a cool name. So I'm sorry to say, Chris, I think Connacht are going to do this.
All right, that's fine.
I'll be happy to be wrong.
we can't all be on the same page anyway. That's sort of, we need to have different views. So it's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool. I wouldn't on form. Yeah, kind of. Just but the bookies, Sharks are 6 points favorites, just as a solid favoritism. But you can't put it past the Sharks to actually faff around again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dan, what do you think? Are you on my side? The Sharks going to come and just show us all that they're the Sharks, or they're going to lay another egg there?
I'm super split. So let me go. I'm going to go for a draw. How about that?
What? No, you can't sit on the fence.
Oh, you can. It's not sitting on the fence. It's a draw. That's the least likely.
I agree. I'm in a lot of punters groups and stuff, but I get that comment every time I bet on a draw, because I do bet on draws in play. When you can see a scrap fest happening, you get a draw at 20-1. It's a runner. You're allowed to. I agree, Dan. You're allowed to call the draw. I'm just giving you crap. 19 points all.
1 red card to the Sharks, 2 yellows to Connacht by the end of the game. Just an ugly thing.
And a Cohen Bosch 50-meter drop goal.
And the Stormers, where it's Munster, get also another tricky one. Also, doesn't seem to matter what type of Munster side put out. They still seem to do the business against our side. So I don't have much hope in the Stormers. I think they just need to get home, get some players back. I think Munster will probably beat them. What do you guys think?
Yeah, Munster. Stormers have never beaten Munster. I don't think it's starting this weekend.
Oh, so, well, this is a little bit of a grudge match. You know, I love my grudge matches.
Munsters have
we'll
had
see.
the wood over Stormers. So no, the Stormers are losing this one as well.
They just can't get out of third gear. Hey,
yeah,
Stormers just can't get
organized, lacking in the pack. Yeah, and that Munster pack is the big one.
But this is the type of games where I still think. When you look at the teams, it's still my mind, and that's my bias, my Stormers bias in South Africa. My mind still tells me there's no way Stormers should be losing to Munster. But like you said, we haven't beaten Munster. But my mind, and because I'm obviously support and betting, so this is the type of game I don't have a comment on it, and I'm not going to bet on it because Stormers could win by 5. But I've been burnt. So I said, you guys in the group, predicting South African teams away is the worst. It's just it's very difficult, right, Dan?
I think they took away Stormers' home record, obviously beating them in the final in the URC. I was actually there that game. That was very sad. I think for the Stormers to win, it's going to have to be one of the best days that Ireland have had in the last year, not a drop of rain, so that the Stormers can actually play a little bit, because I don't know, they can't seem to handle too much. A
cold Friday night in November on the islands. Oaks just they just disappear.
When you see the Stormers and just the South African teams, when they're all rocking up in their long sleeve skins, I'm just like, this. You're not turning it up today.
They don't want to. They want to cook. They don't want to grind.
But I think unfortunately, I think it'll be huge if the Stormers win, because I think momentum with the boost of South African players will be really helpful to them. But I don't think they get the win. I think Munster. And
it's a forgive. I tell you, like these Irish, these Europeans, you could see they step up. They want to beat our teams. Our teams were a little bit off the pace. It doesn't feel like they want to beat it. These guys, even if they got a second team out, you could see there's fire in their belly to put it past our guys. They got a point to prove.
Those guys are the world champions. Yeah,
obviously South African teams, So it just always feels like on a Friday night tomorrow, these teams, I always feel watching it. I see a team that on paper might look better or looks better and should be winning, but I see a whole different attitude from the home side who's giving it a good go, and inevitably the South African tides don't win. But this also happened in Super Rugby. I was saying, guys, we've never, South African teams, even the Boks, some European tours, we're terrible, and just whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, boys, I think we come to an end, unless you want to touch on anything else you can think of, but it's been lekker, as always, of course. Love to talk about rugby on a Thursday night. And obviously, we'll know international. Oh, there was actually one thing we don't, but I don't know if you guys saw. They want to bring back test series of South Africa and New Zealand test. Did you see that, Rion? Did you guys see that? I don't know what that meant to the championship, but they wanted.
When it will happen as well, they'll put it in.
Proper tour, 3-match tour with club games,
with midweek games and everything.
Yeah.
If
That would
they
be
did,
cool.
you know, they could do it. You know what they could do, which could be quite interesting. Imagine they did that for the 2 teams that weren't playing in the British and Irish Lions series that year. I mean,
but I thought that gap would have been for, you've got Portugal, Uruguay, those teams need games. I thought, okay, in those years, let them come play here. Let them go play in New Zealand, get some game time against the big side.
Portugal versus SAA.
Yeah, something like that, and or Portugal versus all our franchises, and then a test against the Boks right at the end, or something like that, just to give them something. They need to play. But now it feels
I love the touring games, those midweek games. I think they're like I miss them.
I mean, I'd love a South Africa New Zealand tour, but is that like Rugby Championship and then a 3-match tour?
That's what I didn't see. I saw something like it was almost confirmed, but I didn't see what it meant for the championship. Because 2 weeks ago we were talking, we've got to bring Fiji into the championship, or maybe someone else grow the Rugby Championship. But if looks like they're going the other direction, because they have been saying, like we're saying with this. They want to make a global season, global rugby calendar.
It's really sick. It's going to happen,
but so what's ultimately is going to mean to the fixtures? Like, because obviously we got Ireland coming next year for 3 tests, right? Which there are these 3 test tours north coming down to the south, but I don't know what a shake up in the calendar is going to mean to 3 test series. Is it's going to just be? I think they want to make these competitions, right? That 2-year competition. So maybe there's like this home and away thing that's going to happen. So I'm not quite sure what their final plans will be.
Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know where they'll fit it
but it's
in.
going to be a juicy All Black South African rivalry now for the next while, for sure, with the teams closing the gap now. And, because I said, like, there was a long time there was like, New Zealand were always, in my mind, going to beat us. But we went to the World Cup final. We had a very big chance. Right? We win it, we win. So I think the games are going to be very spicy, especially after how that World Cup win. I think it's going to get interesting. But boys, thank you so much, lads. It's been a pleasure as usual. Hope you've had a good week and have a good weekend. And everyone on the show, thank you for joining and listening and getting involved. And have a good one. Hope your team wins, who you ever support. If you follow in the bets, make some money. And we'll see you guys all soon or next week. Have a good one. Cheers,